Welcome to the Redemptive Economics Podcast, where we are empowering Christian entrepreneurs to make a redemptive economic impact here in Pittsburgh and beyond. Let's get to work! Hey guys, welcome to the show. I am your host, Mike Hatch, and I am so glad to have you along as we are helping Christian business owners make a redemptive economic impact by building profitable businesses of eternal significance. Man, we've got a great interview for you today, but just a quick reminder, remember, you can check out my new digital course, The Redemptive Enterprise, 15 Biblical Principles for Building a Profitable Business of Eternal Significance. Yes, your business can be a powerful redemptive instrument for God's kingdom. And in this course, you'll discover a robust theology around your vocational calling and professional influence for God's purposes as we unlock these 15 powerful biblical principles. Here is what one business owner had to say about the course. This course has helped tie several financial and economic ideas together with Christ's teaching in the Bible. I've been taught many of the Bible's lessons and how they apply to my life, but the subject of money or economic success was rarely part of it. This course has given me a ton of biblical context of how God views our contributions and wants us to make use of His resources. Smart, insightful, and valuable content. I highly recommend it. The entire course, all 12 sessions, are only $25, and you can access it through the link in the show notes. All right, hey, if you have any questions, please reach out to me at mhatch@redemptiveeconomics.com. I would love to hear from you. Or if you're local to Pittsburgh, it would be great to sit down with you, buy you coffee, and hear more about your journey in business. Lastly, if you are a business owner, our Truth at Work confidential peer advisory groups might be a great fit for you. Myself and my fellow chapter president, Dave Hartman, facilitate groups all over the Pittsburgh region, and they are an incredible life and business changing experience. We currently have openings and are accepting new members. All right, gang, let's go ahead and jump into this week's interview. Today, I have a really amazing guest with a book that I believe is incredibly underrated. As I was just telling Bobbi, the first name of the author that I was just telling before we hit record here. And so we're going to talk about this book. It's called Leadership Points of Connection, Expanding Your Impact Through Meaningful Connections. And it's written by Bobbi Cumpston, Dr. Bobbi Cumpston. And let me tell you a little bit about Bobbi first. Bobbi is the Director of Veterans Affairs for Washington County, Pennsylvania. She is a retired Army veteran with a heart for veterans and a passion for leadership. And that will come through loud and clear as we talk about her book. While on active duty, she earned a bachelor's degree in information technology, a master's degree in organizational management, and her doctorate in strategic leadership at Regent University. Bobbi's mission is to honor veterans and provide teaching and insight into leadership through articles, books, and speaking engagements. Bobbi and her husband, Nevin, live in Southwest Pennsylvania and have been married for 30 years. Praise God. That does not happen by accident. And Bobbi, you have 2 children and 1 grandson. So now this is the bio from your book, Bobbi. First of all, welcome to the show. Let me say that.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So any updates? Because I know when I wrote my bio for my book, and you get interviewed and then little things change here and there. Any updates that you might add to that?
Nope. Still married.
Okay.
Still
okay.
Have 2 children. Still only 1 grandchild.
Okay. All right. Good. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else meaningful that needed to be added to that. So, so Bobbi, I am really excited to talk about this book and hopefully promote it and get it out, to more people, I think, who need this. But before we dive into the book, I want to get into your background a little bit. I'd love to hear a little bit about your faith journey, and that, of course, will probably intertwine with your professional journey as well. So, yes. And of course, we're both fellow veterans, so we have that connection, which is exciting. And so I'm excited to hear about your military experience. But you good? Okay.
Yes.
See, this is stuff I'll cut that right out.
Cut it out.
Yeah. So, Bobbi, I'd love to hear about your background. So, why don't you share about your faith journey?
Oh, my faith actually started like a lot of us from when I was a child.
Hmm.
My my parents were grew up in the 70s.
Hmm.
They were very young parents, but they also wanted to make sure that my brother and I had a good Sunday school foundation. So my dad
Hmm.
would drop us off at Sunday school, literally drop us off, and then he'd go do his thing and then pick us back up when we were done. So I grew up in the Methodist church. My
Hmm.
grandmother and my aunt were very strong influences in
Hmm.
uh, in our growing up,
Hmm.
surrounded by cousins and play dates all the time. And but church was non-negotiable.
Hmm.
So we were at church pretty much every Sunday, and then growing up, went into youth group, and it was just always there. It was just always part of my life,
Hmm.
and I give a lot of that credit to my grandmother.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so interestingly, you said your parents would often just drop you off
Yeah.
to church. I've heard that many other times from other people who've been on actually who've said something similar, which is really interesting to me because I feel like it's very different today. Today, I feel like parents are dragging their kids to church. Maybe my perception's off, but it sounds like so your grandmother had probably, and who else did you mention had a really significant influence?
Her daughter, my aunt.
Your
Yep, my
aunt.
dad's
Okay.
sister. Hmm.
So your grandma and your aunt kind of took that spiritual mentorship role in getting you to church. It sounds like, is that right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yep.
Man,
They
okay.
they encouraged us it the whole way. If my parents didn't couldn't take us, they would come to get us. They would make sure that we were doing all the other things too, besides youth group and
Hmm.
oh gosh, being involved in plays and
Hmm.
different things like that throughout the
Okay.
whole time I was at church. Yeah.
And where did you grow up? Was it Pittsburgh?
No, I grew up in Maryland. I grew up in
Maryland.
Southern Maryland. Yep.
Okay. Okay, that's right. All right. So then, I forget. Did you go to military school?
No,
No,
no.
you were
I
enlisted.
I enlisted when I was growing up, my grandparents were involved in the VFW,
Mm.
so we were there
Hmm.
always. We were yeah, go to Christmas parties, Easter parties. We were just it was a part of our life,
Yeah.
at certain times of the year. And my grandfather
Huh.
served in the Navy. My uh, my other grandfather served in the Army.
Hmm.
So, and then, aunts and uncles and cousins and good solid military family, military background.
Yeah.
But I never
Hmm.
considered joining. It would never even cross my mind. I had planned to go to college and graduate college and go off and do other things.
Interesting. So, what was
Yeah.
the change agent for that? What
Oh,
prompted you then? Because you went from high school into the military. Is that right?
no.
No, you were in
Nope.
college. Okay.
So I graduated high school. I had a work study program with the Navy, and I worked at Patuxent River Naval Base. Uh,
Hmm.
Started there, and I was in the what program was that? Research and Development program,
Okay.
and I was going to go for electrical engineering. And then, funny, my I that's where I met my husband because he was in the Navy.
Oh, very
And
cool.
my grandmother, she said, "That's where I met your grandfather, and you need to stay away from you need to stay away from sailors." Well, I didn't
That's amazing.
I didn't listen.
Yeah, right.
Didn't listen. So my husband and I, we hit it off pretty well. He helped me with one of my
Hmm.
projects, and we started talking and just kind of clicked.
That's
Um,
great.
However, I did not do well my first year of college. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
know. It was my first time being away from home. I was scared to death.
Hmm.
I did not know how to study. I did not know how
Hmm.
to attend classes at that level. And
Hmm.
so my first year, I pretty much bombed it. I failed.
Wow.
Imagine that. Um,
Yeah.
yep. And so I left school, and
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
husband was getting out of the Navy, and I followed him up here to Pennsylvania, and we proceeded to get married and then have two kids right away. So I was
Wow.
intending on being a stay-at-home mom for however long it took. I got very
Hmm.
intimidated by college. Very, I, yeah, I said, you know what? I failed. I'm not going back. I don't, I'll just figure out something else to do. Um,
Wow. Hmm.
so you want me to keep rolling?
Yeah, keep rolling. This is great.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Because what's amazing to me as you're saying that is like, but you just finished, well,
yeah,
not just, but you did a PhD. So
yeah.
clearly, with an incredible book. So I love stories like this because I relate very much because I had a terrible high school experience. Like it was,
Oh,
I mean, it was good in some ways, but school intimidated me. Even to this day, when I walk into a school, the smell can turn my stomach. It
oh,
has a
funny.
unique smell. It was a visceral reaction I would have. So
Right.
anyway, I relate to that intimidation, if you will, factor of school. So
So then, my kids were 5 and 7, and
mm,
then so we went to a Christmas party. My husband had gotten out of the Navy. He come up here and he missed the military, so he joined the National Guard.
hmm,
And we went to a Christmas party, and there were women there who were in uniform, and they had children. And I was looking
yes,
around. I'm like, I I might be interested in doing this. This might be I want to do this. So we talked about it for about a month, and he said, just call a recruiter. Call him right now. The good part about the National Guard is you generally stay in your home state. You're not
yep,
going across the
hmm,
country. You're not on active duty where you're, transferring every 3 years or so.
hmm,
I thought, okay, I'll do it for 6 years. I'll get my education. I'll get the GI Bill, and I'll go back to college. And
wow,
so that's what I did. January 2001, I signed my first contract,
wow,
and it was at peacetime. And so when
hmm,
you join the guard, you don't have to ship out right away, and
hmm,
I wasn't scheduled to ship out until October. So I had, 10 months to get used to it,
hmm,
get the kids used to it, get them, hey, mom's
hmm,
leaving. We're gonna write letters, we're gonna have phone calls, things like that, but I'll be back.
hmm,
And then then September 11th happened,
yep,
and that it just changed everything, but I'm sure we
yep.
can get into that later.
Well,
But
our stories run parallel. I'm so glad we're doing because I forgot
yeah,
about this. I know we talked about this before, but I did basic training for the Air Force
yeah.
in the summer before 9/11. And
Oh,
I did a split option. So I did basic training in the summer, and then I didn't do tech school until starting in December
okay.
of 2011. So so I had just gotten back from basic training when 9/11 happened. And I
Oh
was like,
man.
"Oh, dang. Okay. It's on now." I remember
Right.
I
Oh
remember
yeah.
feeling pretty
Yeah.
pumped about it.
Yeah, surprisingly, I was too.
Yeah.
My parents were freaking out because, I was the oldest daughter, and I was not supposed to join the military. And, what are
Hmm.
you doing? This is not your path. So they were a little upset. And of course, you get the phone calls of, do you have to go? Are you leaving? I'm like, no, I haven't even been to basic training yet. No, chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so I left in October, and
Hmm.
went through basic training, and went through the MOS school.
Hmm.
Originally, what did I do originally? 92 Fox, a fueler.
Okay.
So I went to Fort Jackson for my 8 weeks of basic, and then went up to Fort Lee for as a fueler.
Okay.
Did that, and I got home in April of 2002.
Wow.
Um, didn't know what I wanted to do next, because you get home and you're only doing drills, and
That's
your
right.
2 weeks AT,
Yep.
and I don't know. I think I got a job at Home Depot or Lowe's or something.
Hmm. And
But
were you living at that point?
Washington, here in Washington, PA.
Okay.
Yep, I was with Second Brigade, 28th Infantry Division, Pennsylvania National Guard, Army National
Okay.
Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so a couple of jobs came open for active guard reserve,
Oh
and
yeah.
I thought,
Hmm.
I liked the active duty part. I liked being in uniform. I liked
Mm-hmm.
being involved. So I applied for a couple jobs. I didn't get the first one, but then they hired me
Mm-hmm.
as a supply sergeant.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I was 18 months in and brand new to the unit, and they said, "Okay, we'll hire you." I was an E3, which is
Yeah.
low man
Oh
on the
yeah.
totem pole, and
Yep.
I was doing the work of a sergeant. You know.
Wow.
Yep.
No way. Obviously, they must have seen you as being pretty darn capable.
I guess so. I guess I impressed them in the interview. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were. Yes,
Hmm.
they were glad to have me.
Hey guys, are you ready to start buying Bitcoin? But maybe you're hesitant because of the unique challenges in the areas of exchanges and custody and tax planning. That is where my good friend and brother in Christ, Josh Bryant, and his company, Freedom Trust, comes in. Freedom Trust brings years of experience to address these issues in collaboration with trusted industry custodians and service providers. Freedom Trust is a registered investment advisor, and Josh specializes as an advisor for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. He works with individuals, businesses, and as a partner to other registered investment advisors who need expertise in the custody of Bitcoin and digital assets. Josh can guide you through the complexities of cryptocurrency investments, providing personalized strategies to manage and protect your assets effectively. Find out more and contact my good buddy Josh Bryant today at freedomtrust.com. And let's start embracing Bitcoin, the only monetary protocol that abides by God's mandate for just weights and measures. Seneca Hills Bible Camp and Retreat Center is a hidden gem located just north of Pittsburgh in Venango County. Personally, when I attended their men's weekend, I was blown away by the beauty of the surroundings, the quality of the facilities, and the superiority of the cuisine. This is not your typical camp food, folks. Seneca Hills hosts year-round retreats and conferences, but their true passion is summer camp, where campers, both kids and adults, escape the everyday tyranny of screens and distractions and immerse themselves in 250 acres of God's gorgeous creation. Go to SenecaHills.org or call my good buddy Executive Director Lyndon Fowler to learn more about how Seneca Hills Bible Camp and Retreat Center can help you, your kids, or your business create unforgettable memories, meaningful friendships, and a deeper understanding of God's love. Yeah, so I was in the Air Force National Guard, so I totally
Yeah.
get the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer kind of thing. And
Yeah, that's not really true.
well, yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, we were activated pretty soon after I was done with tech school in six
Yes.
months. I was
Yeah.
working night, going to school during the day. But I remember, the full-time jobs in the Guard were highly sought after.
Yes.
So
Yes, they were.
that speaks well of you. So
Thank you. Yes.
okay. So then, because were you in for 6 years, or it was longer, right?
I retired. I did 22 years.
That's right. Okay. So clearly you enjoyed it. You took everything you could out of it. You did college,
Everything.
right? Yeah.
Did college. Yeah, it was 2005 I started my college career. And I was working full time and going to college full time. It was the beginning of online school, and I was
Oh,
thrilled.
yeah.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. So every school that I went to was strictly online. I didn't have to go anywhere other than a couple of residencies for my
Hmm.
doctorate. Yeah, it was fantastic. I thought, wow, well, this is wonderful. I can do everything at home. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I
Yep.
forget, like sometimes the early 2000s feel so long ago, and I
Yes.
forget. Oh yeah, we were online then.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
that's amazing. Okay. Now at this point, where were you in terms of your faith? Because you just started your family, you and your husband.
Yeah.
Um, so what were you guys going to church at this point in time? Like, was growing in your faith a real priority for you then?
Not then. When I moved up here, when I first moved up here, we were working, we were figuring each
Mhm.
other out, getting married, having kids. But I knew that I wanted my kids to have church, and I wanted
Hmm.
them to go, and I wanted them to experience what I experienced. It was all good. It was
Yeah.
difficult because I couldn't find a church where I fit. I couldn't find that niche. I tried a Baptist church, Assembly of
Yep.
God, non-denominational, and we finally
Hmm.
settled on a Assembly of God church because they had a
Mm-hmm.
great children's program, and that was the most important part for me, for us,
Mm-hmm.
is making sure the kids got a taste of the faith, that
Mm-hmm.
I had. And we went for a while, and then I forget why we stopped going. I don't know, it just kind of fell off.
Mm.
You get to that point
Yeah.
where something's not working, and you just stop going,
Mm-hmm.
for a few years. And well, it was kind of I got mad at God for a while.
Hey, that
But
happens. Thanks for the
yeah, yeah,
vulnerability. I appreciate
yeah,
that. Yeah.
I did. Um, but anyway, I got to backtrack a little bit to
Okay.
when I went to basic training. Faith was foundation. I couldn't have gotten through it without it.
Mm.
When I found out that I could go to church every Sunday and sit there for 3 or 4 hours, doing church, doing Bible study, I said, okay, I'm doing this, and everybody else would go back to the barracks after breakfast. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to church. And it was such a freeing, it was so freeing to be able to sit
Mm-hmm.
there. I cried my eyes out every Sunday, because I miss my family, and
Yeah.
it was a place where I could just let go,
Mm.
and didn't talk to anybody, didn't never talk to the chaplain. I don't even remember his name, but just being able just to sit there at peace for an
Yeah.
entire day with nobody bothering me. Uh,
Yeah.
Phew, man, this is great. And then they hand out little
Mm-hmm.
Bible studies that you do, and I was up during the night, with flashlight under the covers,
No
trying
way.
to do my Bible studies. Yeah, so it was
Oh,
good.
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was very foundational. I
Wow.
truly could not have gotten through it without going to church.
Yeah. So it
And
sounds
then,
like that's where you took ownership of it in a sense for yourself, or it
yes,
became real to you. I mean,
yeah,
more than just your parents or your grandma or your aunt's faith, but
it
your
was
faith.
mine. It was
Yeah.
mine. Yep.
Hmm.
And that really continued on for just from there. I met other people throughout my military career who challenged me, increasing my faith, well,
Hmm.
why do you believe this? Or, just kind of iron sharpens iron kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
inviting other people to church, the
Hmm.
different churches that I went to. It was good, but it definitely gave me that foundation that I carry to this day.
That's awesome. Okay, so as you kind of teased us a little bit there, because and I'll let you know what I'm talking about here in just a second, because we all have our journeys, we all have our
Mhm.
ups and downs in our relationship with God, ways that we struggle at times and come back and walk away in times, and so but you just kind of thrown out there that you were angry at God. Do you remember what the reason was? Like why were you angry, and what was,
Yes.
yeah, what pushed you away in a sense?
And it's kind of military related. So
Yeah.
after I got back from basic training and the MOS school, my husband and I we were in the same unit. So we went to our annual training, and we were at Fort Drum, New York. We were
Mm-hmm.
there for about a month, and our kids they were with my mother-in-law, my
Mm-hmm.
husband's mom, and her husband, and they were watching them. Well, there was an incident that happened with my daughter, and that's her story. So I kind of
Yep. Yep.
just basics. And so when we got back and we found out about it,
Oh,
she, yeah, there was a lot going on,
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
I was mad at myself. How could I have left my child and let this happen to her? And then
Yep.
I was mad at God. God, how could you let this happen to my daughter? How dare
Yep.
you? So that was, yeah. So I was mad at God for about 7 years, and
Wow. Hmm.
yeah, that was tough. I mean, I would talk to God, and I would lay it down, and then I'd pick it back up, and I'm holding on to this for a while.
Yeah.
And actually, the funny part is she's the one that brought me back to church.
Your daughter.
She
Oh
did.
my gosh.
Yep.
What?
Wait till you meet her.
I know. I hope
Yep.
to one day. Absolutely.
Yep. She had friends of hers that were going to church. They were part of the worship team, and she said, I found this church that I like and I want to go to, and I want you to come with me. I was like, oh, no, I can't. No, I'm not ready yet. But I
Yeah.
did, and it was like, oh, um, again, waterworks, tears, and like,
Yeah.
oh man, okay, I'm finding my way back.
Wow.
And that was, gosh, yeah, she was probably about 14, 15.
Okay.
So that was seven long years, but it was
Wow.
actually a startup church. And
Okay.
so the new pastor, small congregation, they had a worship team, and I was like, oh, all right, I can
Mm.
do this.
Yeah.
So we dove in and really wanted to see it be successful and grow, and so inviting people, doing extras,
Hmm.
volunteering, see what can we do to make this good and better. So that one kind of petered out, and we moved on, and then
Okay.
so I don't know, a month or couple months later,
Hmm.
hey, there's a new church again. My daughter, hey, there's a new
Oh,
church starting up.
interesting.
Yeah. So she said, okay, let's go to this one. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this again, because you pour your heart and soul into
Oh,
something, and
yeah. It's like
here we
being a
go.
church planter, missionary, right?
Yeah,
It takes a
yeah.
lot of work.
So we found another one, and we did that for a while. And again, it kind of, okay, it died out again. Um,
As
but
in, wait, let me clarify. So the church died out? Is that what you
yeah,
mean? Oh, okay. And the
yeah,
previous church did as well?
it did. It did.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay. I was confused whether you meant your involvement died out or the
No,
church died out. Okay, but the
no, it
church
died.
died out.
Yeah,
That's
it
sad.
did. It did. It
Okay.
just didn't grow. Didn't grow. Yeah, so that was two
Okay.
churches. Um,
Wow.
and I this is over a time period. So, and then the church we go to now,
Hmm.
again, she found it. So it was I feel like I'm jumping around, but
No,
two,
this is great. You're good.
2020, I deployed to Kuwait with my unit, and while I was deployed, the church we had been going to they closed. They
Okay.
had their last service, and I was like, I didn't even get an email or nothing. I'm 6,000 miles away. What are you guys doing? So I was really
Wow.
heartbroken, because it was we had a building and we were growing, but
Mm.
pastor said, no, I'm done. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. In the meantime, my daughter, she made friends with the lady there who was kind of took her under her wing while I was gone. And she said, okay, I got another church for us. I was like, oh no, I can't. So,
This is too funny.
I
Like,
know. So I got back in 2021, and they had just started a couple months before I had gotten back. And uh, this is the one. Yeah, this one's gonna stick. Yeah.
yeah,
And
this is the keeper.
yeah, so yeah, we've been going there since 2021.
Mm.
Just love it. Love the
Okay.
pastor. Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's great.
I'll credit to my daughter, and she's got her own story that she needs to tell too.
It sounds like it. Sounds like an
Oh
incredible
yeah.
story of redemption. Whatever it is.
uh,
Um,
yes, yes,
leave it up to our kids to influence us.
oh,
That
big time.
happens, right? Oh my gosh. Praise God the way He
Yeah,
works
yeah,
um, through points of connection.
that's right.
Do you see what I did
That's
there?
right. I love it.
Your point of connection with your daughter. Anyway, no, that's amazing. Okay, so then you did recently retire from,
Yes.
right? It was recent, yeah, from
Yep.
the army. And tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
I retired in September 2022, so very recent retiree. And
Hmm.
so I did intentionally take 6 months off so I could finish my doctorate. I was in my last semester, finish up the manuscript, and finish that. And then the Director of Veterans Affairs position for Washington County opened up. So, I like to do my research, obviously, and I went and talked to the former director. We sat down and had a conversation. She practically handed me the keys and was like, you're it. You're it. I
Wow.
was like, I haven't even interviewed yet. What are you doing? Um,
Wow.
but yeah, she knew because we had
Huh.
this we had a connection. she
Yep.
she
Yep.
was a Navy veteran, and
Hmm.
she'd been doing the job, and it was you just know about somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
she just knew, and she's like, yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
it. If you don't take this. So the funny thing was, I never even knew the job was open. I wasn't watching the county
Hmm.
job announcements,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody through another connection had mentioned it, and I said, "What? What do you mean this job's open? Hey, hold on, I didn't even know." And it was a week before it had closed. So
Wow.
I had 1 week to polish my resume, get my I don't even think I had to do a photo, but just, get my resume
Wow.
up to date and get it submitted. So yeah,
That's
one
amazing.
week.
Sovereign.io is the Bitcoin consulting company for businesses. They provide strategic advisory, tailored education, and seamless onboarding to a Bitcoin standard. Adopting new technology alone can be daunting and filled with unnecessary pitfalls. Working with a trusted sovereign advisor can help you avoid costly mistakes and position you for success from the outset. With over a century of collective Bitcoin experience, they've overcome the challenges so you can leverage their experience. Make sure you click the link in the show notes to get 2 essential Bitcoin guides. Bitcoin Simplified, a clear, concise introduction to Bitcoin, and The Business Case for Bitcoin, the world's first in-depth ebook on Bitcoin's place in corporate finance and strategy. Bitcoin is a solution to the problem that every company on the planet faces. Understanding and adopting this sweeping technology will be the key for all business leaders in 2025. TBD Bookkeeping is who I use for my bookkeeping needs, and I'm thrilled to recommend them to you. As business owners with 3 kids themselves, Ryan and Danielle Hatch understand the value of time and the importance of work-life balance. TBD Bookkeeping can take over the day-to-day bookkeeping of your business so you can focus more on growth, operations, and customer relationships. I can speak from experience. If you're a business owner, you need a bookkeeper, and TBD Bookkeeping is simply the best in the business. Find their contact information in the show notes, and when you mention Redemptive Economics, you'll receive 10% off your first 3 months. Call TBD Bookkeeping today and learn more about the benefits I've experienced: more time, peace of mind, and the ability to plan for the future.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Bobbi, because it sounds similar to how you got the full-time job with the Army National Guard. There's some similarities there
Yeah.
in that you just kind of, I guess it was easy to an extent. Like you just kind of got open the door and pushed you through.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Wow.
It was literally like dropping in my lap. I was like, "Okay, God, what are you doing? How
Yeah.
can I not say yes?"
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I think that's a big deal, though, to say yes, to
Yeah.
to see that open door, to obey the prompt that God has given you with regards to that, and to say yes, because those, we can get people can get very, what's the word? Comfortable with where they
Mm.
are, and stepping out to something new or change can be challenging.
Yes.
Um, but it just seems like you embraced it and move forward with God
Yeah.
leading you along the way. So that's amazing. That's amazing,
Yes,
Bobbi.
he does. Sometimes it looks like I drag my feet on making decisions, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
just, you wait for that confirmation. You wait for that, okay, go.
Mm-hmm.
And when he says go, you better go, or you're gonna get
There's
left
wisdom in that.
behind. Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's wisdom in that. I think. Do you know Tamara Bay by any
Mm-mm.
chance? Okay, she's
I don't think
she's
so.
EGR Financial Solutions. Just plug if anybody wants to listen to
Yeah.
that story, you can go back, and I interviewed her. But she, yeah, very interesting. So Tamara took time before starting her business, EGR Financial Solutions, but she wanted to wait on the Lord to kind of really say, yes, this is the way to go. And so she waited and prayed for maybe longer than most would have. But you move forward then from there, I think, with greater confidence, knowing that this is what the Lord wants you to do, right?
Yes. Yes, you do.
So,
Yeah, well,
well,
that's scripture. Wait on the Lord.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Um, and Bobbi, you are admired for sure in terms of your role. Like everybody that I talk to who knows you, when I bring up your name, folks light up about you and
Aw.
love that you are in the position you're in and doing what you're doing. So it's clear that you've made all sorts of points of connection that are very significant through authentic leadership, as you talk about in here as well. And so that I'm excited that, like, the book that you wrote, the meaning and purpose and that we're going to dive into here with regards to that definitely matches up with the person of who you are, your makeup. I love that. I feel like this book, and tell me what if you'd agree with this. I feel like this book kind of spawned from who you are, how God designed you to be. Is that right?
Yes, yes. It was a labor of love, and there's a lot in there talking about different people, different situations, different things that I did that, I don't, as cliche as it sounds, it makes you who you are today. It made me who I am today. I remember there was a guy I worked with in Pittsburgh once, and it struck me because he pretty much said the same thing. This is the kind of leader that I'll remember for pretty much for my whole life. And I
Wow.
appreciated that and I never forgot, no matter how much rank I attained, new positions, whatever. I did not forget where I came from, because I came from,
Hmm.
E1 nothing, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I wanted to portray to the people that I led in the military, and then, and beyond.
Yep.
That's what I do now.
Yep. And I mean, it literally, your story is that you expanded your impact through meaningful connections.
Oh yeah.
Like that is
It's my
exactly,
story.
that's the subtitle of your book right there. Okay, so then let me ask you this. I mean, aside from the fact that it's kind of who you are and it came out of who you are in your DNA, why did you decide, what was the impetus to write the book? Why did you decide to do that?
Well, it was my final project, for one, at
Yeah.
Regent. Yep. It had no, I didn't know what to do. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was talking to my professors. They said, well, you can write a manuscript. I'm like, really? I don't have to do a research project? No. So my doctorate
Hmm.
is Doctorate of Strategic Leadership. It is the practical application of research.
I
So
love it.
that's the difference between PhD and DSL. We
Hmm.
all do the same research. We all have to write in research, support your arguments, do
Hmm.
go through all your journal articles, but PhD, they're doing that research. DSL, we get to do a project. So other people,
Interesting.
yeah, other people could do, they did podcasts, they started their own consulting business. People have done manuscripts. It's really wide open, and I was thrilled about it. So I just
Huh.
started gathering, and I knew that all along. It took me 5 years to graduate, but all along I had written, and I had written
Hmm.
well, and I knew
Hmm.
the things that I had already written were substantial, and I wanted to get
Hmm.
that all together because they all just flowed together. And that's
Yeah.
how I came up with the manuscript.
Interesting. So so what you're saying is the writing that you did along the way of the program, you kind of gathered those different resources up that you had created to put the book together. Is that what you mean?
Yes, pretty much.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty much.
That's really
You know,
cool.
and of course, fleshing it out here and there and adding to it
Yep.
and updating my research, because what you learned
Mm.
from, the first year is not exactly the same as the fourth or fifth year. So updating those,
Yeah.
updating the journal articles that I used,
Hmm.
things like that.
I really like that's how that came about, because because I think that's a really important lesson for all of us as entrepreneurs, that sometimes, writing a book is a lot of people's aspiration, and I think it feels like such a huge big project, but I think the way you approach this was patient and kind of plodding and intentional. I think other folks can take a page from that lesson. Maybe it's that if you're a listener right now and you've wanted to write a book, maybe you just start writing blogs, right?
Yeah.
Little bits at a time, right? Pieces, put out there, eating the elephant, one bite at a
One
time.
bite at a time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very intimidating. Oh, I'm going to write a book. Oh my gosh. And then you realize, oh, my book is, I think, 50,000 word count. How do you write 50,000 words? Well, it was a lot of pain, a lot of late nights, a lot of,
Mm.
I got to get this dialogue done. It's 300 words. Oh my gosh, I don't know. It was good pain. I liked it.
Yeah,
I loved being in school. I still love
that's
it.
cool. Well,
And
who knows?
now I
Maybe
can't go back.
that's
I
hilarious,
mean, I
right?
could go back, but why
Yeah.
do you want to go back to school? I just love it.
Yeah. Sounds like you love learning,
I
right?
do.
And
I do.
growing and
Yes.
maybe producing more books.
Yes, I have several outlines on my computer. Yes.
All right. Excellent. Well, you are definitely a gifted writer. That is for sure. This is a really well written book.
Thank you.
Um, so, all right, I want to dive into it here a little bit, and I want to start more broad, and I want to ask you, and again, the title for folks as you're listening is Leadership Points of Connection, Expanding Your Impact Through Meaningful Connections. I wanted to start with, Bobbi, if you could, help define for us or summarize what you mean when you say connection.
Well, if you go, so I'm gonna quote myself out of the book here.
Yeah.
A connection is a relationship in which a person, thing, or idea is linked or associated with something else. And it really started with my friend Sharon. She actually coined the phrase, and I got her permission to use it. So
Mm-hmm.
she kept saying, these points of connections. We were working
Hmm.
on a project together, and we connected.
Yeah.
And once we connected, we got that spark between the two of us. That
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts are going and going and going, and you have these ideas, and you want to do this and put this into practice. And oh, what about this? Or even, hey, do you know so and so? This person knows this person who can help with this idea or help with this project. And it just kind of blossomed from there,
Mm-hmm.
realizing that each person each person that you meet, they know somebody else who knows somebody else who can help you or give you good ideas or yeah. So it was just that those connections, and
Yeah.
even to other things where I think I wrote in my book something about going to the grocery store and you meet somebody and you give them a positive compliment, or you open the
Yeah.
door for them or help carry their bags out or something, and you make that impact on them. You don't know. They might have
Mm-hmm.
had the worst day of their life. And,
Mm-hmm.
you just take that 30 seconds and compliment
Yeah.
them or, give them a hand, and you just made their whole day.
Absolutely. So as based on what you just said, so it's obviously an affinity for one another, similar. What do you call it? Maybe values that would connect you, but also it sounds like also a purpose that you have together that helps connect you,
Hmm.
moving your relationship forward.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. In relationship to that, how would you? Because the other key piece at the beginning of your book, the first chapter, is about people of connection.
Hmm.
That struck me, and I love that you titled some people that. I guess what distinguishes people of connection versus people who aren't? Truth at Work executive peer advisory groups are a life and business changing experience. Trust me, I've experienced it myself. It made such an impact on me that I stepped out to become a chapter president myself. At Truth at Work, we're dedicated to helping Christian business leaders who feel isolated and overwhelmed. Our community of like-minded peers are here to help leaders like you live out your faith in the marketplace and build your business on biblical principles. Christian business leaders are transformed through these peer advisory groups that apply biblical truth for living out our faith in all areas of life. If you'd like to learn more about Truth at Work, email me, Mike Hatch, at mhatch@truthatwork.org, or you can email my counterpart, Dave Hartman, at dhartman@truthatwork.org. Jeff Doherty with Allstate Insurance has the distinction of being the very first sponsor of the Redemptive Economics podcast, and I couldn't be happier to promote his services. I've known Jeff for many years now, both as his pastor and friend, and man, I can say with confidence that he is a man of strong faith who aligns well with the Redemptive Economics values. So reach out to Jeff. He can offer you options for a wide variety of coverage and services. He's committed to helping Pittsburgh residents assess their immediate and long-term needs and choose options that will help you achieve your goals. When you want to explore options for protecting your home, personal property, or financial future, Jeff Doherty is your guy. You'll find Jeff's contact information in the show notes. Hey, go grab a cup of coffee with him, get to know him, even if it's just to review your current coverage in case you need to make adjustments. And I promise you're going to love Jeff every bit as much as I do.
Well, if you look at it broadly, big picture, everybody's a point of connection. Everybody's a people of connection. Part of it is intentionally looking at somebody and knowing that, you know what, you guys might not hit it off, or they might be, I like the phrase, they might be sandpaper people where, you're kind of rubbing each other the wrong way. But if you can look beyond that and they might make you better because, well, I'm not going to act like that, or I don't want to talk to that person, but, they might be just having a bad day. Or, because I tend to get along with everybody, and there were people in the military that were sandpaper for me, but I had to work with them anyway, so I had to learn that skill. Being people of connection, you can't isolate yourself. And when you go around and know or think about every time you meet somebody or every time you connect with somebody, there's something that could be valuable out of that connection. And you should look at it that way intentionally. You might surprise yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's interesting is on page 27, this relates to what you just said. The last paragraph on the bottom, I highlighted this. It says bridges are two ways, or two-way. Bridges are two-way, and the power of connection is two-way. The military uses the phrase, I got your six, meaning I have your back and protect you from behind. And so when you say what you just said, this is why it prompted this. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get out of it. I think often when we think about connection, we may think first about what we have to give, which for some people, like introverts, might cause them to be hesitant to want to connect because, oh man, it's going to take energy and I don't know if I have that energy or I don't feel like it, whatever. But you don't realize how it's a two-way thing, right? It goes back. And maybe vice versa. There are obviously people who want to get from others versus giving, right? So yeah, I thought that was it. You saying that just prompted that from page 27. Can you talk a little bit more about the military idea here? Because I do love the battle buddy idea.
Oh yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what that means exactly and how that plays into this two-way bridge?
Yeah. So all the way from basic training, you learn you're assigned a battle buddy, and that you're both going through basic training together. The military is designed to break you down completely and then build you back up in the military style, the military image, because that's the purpose. And when you have a battle buddy, you're always going places together. They're never out of your sight. You're never out of their sight. And it's learning that accountability to each other, for one. And then it builds off of that to where you could be responsible for a squad or a team or a squad or a section or a platoon. And because everybody's all the same and everybody's all been trained the same, okay, this is my new squad, but everybody's been trained the same, so I know I can rely on them to my left and to my right and behind me. That's pretty much what they mean. I got your six. I got your back. I've been trained. You've been trained. We all know we're going to watch out for each other.
That is so critical, which goes back to, in my mind, kind of the shared values that you hopefully have with people that you won't always have that with everybody, but the people with the deepest connections, you're gonna have a similar thought, like way of thinking of the world or worldview, I would say.
You do. I think that's where a lot of time you resonate with certain people. That's why you can have that connection with somebody, and you just know on an intuitive level that it goes beyond just a passing conversation. I mean, it's similar to us, even when I knew you were a veteran, I was like, okay, that's the one connection. But then
Yep.
realizing you're a person of faith as well. Oh yeah,
Hmm.
okay. Now, and sometimes you don't know quite why you like somebody or want to be around somebody, and it's once you find out there's something that draws you, and whether
Hmm.
it's faith or a shared experience or something like that, you instantly kind of connect, and you just know you want to be around that person.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, and that kind of butts up against my next question. Actually, is when you think about connections as a leader, especially, what would you say are some common obstacles that leaders face when attempting to establish meaningful connections?
Oh, when your personal feelings or thoughts might get in the way of getting to know somebody, or your
Hmm.
instant knee-jerk reaction you have, oh, I don't like this person, I don't want anything to do with them, kind of thing. As a
Yeah.
leader, you can't or you shouldn't. I won't say you can't because you can. You can do whatever you want, but as a leader, you kind of want to remember that you're there not to tell everybody what to do and
Mm.
pound your fists and that kind of thing. It's more of that servant leadership that,
Hmm.
that I mean that I practice anyway, that authentic servant leadership where you're hand out, you're putting your hand out to somebody and you're pulling them up to to be more than what they think they can be.
Hmm.
And just because somebody has a bad day doesn't mean you cut them off, and yeah, I get hurt or I don't want to have anything to do with somebody because they got
Hmm.
me today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but
Hmm.
it's learning to get past that too, and
Yeah.
and be the leader because you're not going to please everybody and everybody's not going to please you. There's personalities involved.
Absolutely. So, and you're touching on something that's really critical in my estimation, and that is the internal life of the leader.
Mm.
And you talk about that at the beginning in chapter one. When you talk about authentic leaders have four distinct components: self awareness, internalized moral perspective, balanced processing, and relational transparency. I love that you kind of outline those because again it relate. I think sometimes we externalize. I think some of our own internal insecurities maybe or
Mhm.
baggage sometimes, and we
Oh,
don't realize that often the issue is with us when it comes to making these connections. And so the fact that you name these aspects of what it a person of connection or an authentic leader would be, these things take time, they take effort, don't
mhm.
they, to kind of build and cultivate inside of us.
Absolutely. I yes, but like I said, I started out as an E3 low man on the totem pole, doing the job of a sergeant, and I wasn't a leader. I didn't know what I was doing. I had still had to learn the job, and then I had to learn how to interact with people that were outranked me, but I held the position that they had to respect because of the position I held. And the
Yep.
leaders that I worked with, they had my back. They would support me
Mm.
in my decisions, even though other people
Mm.
outranked me. And that help build me up as a leader and help me to learn
Mm.
because I watched what they did and what they said
Mm.
and how they portrayed themselves, and that helped me grow throughout the years as a leader myself.
Absolutely, man, great point.
I'm sorry, even to
No, go ahead.
where watching other leaders that really were poor leaders, and I'm like, I am not going to act like that.
Yeah.
I am not going to do what that guy's doing. Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes the best examples are bad examples.
yeah, it's true, true. Unfortunately,
That's so then, okay, you talk about the internal, or I guess I identified it as being kind of internal hesitation that we have often to connect with people. What are some other ways would you say that leaders can overcome these challenges to connection?
biggest thing is get over yourself. you know, I mean,
That's great.
it
Yes.
really, because and people say it all the time. Every everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. And just remember, be humble. Yeah, you're not any better than anybody else. You might be up front in the spotlight, leading and hard charging, but at the end of the day, you're still one leg at a time, putting your pants on, and be
I
humble.
love it.
Um, and know that you don't know everything, and it's just having that growth mindset. I know John Maxwell talks a lot about it lately, shifting from the goals and meeting the goals to growing and learning every single day. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, and you said that was beautiful because John Maxwell says that all the time. In fact, the Live to Lead event we both met at, he talked about the idea of get over yourself. Everybody else has.
Yep, that's it.
Which is great.
That's it.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Okay, that's really good. So then, all right. So I wanted you to elaborate a little bit. I love your term that you describe here. It's near the end of your book, page 87. You talk about, I love this, innovation antibodies. I thought that was a brilliant description. Can you elaborate on what you mean by innovation antibodies?
Yes, that is actually, I didn't coin the phrase. It was, in my research, it's people that stop progress. People that are negative Nancy's, or I'm sorry, not to disparage a Nancy name.
Yeah, right.
But, it's that phrase. But it just the people that, we can't do that. Oh, we don't know how to do that. Or what do you mean we want to? It's the people that don't want to change. It's the people that, we've done it this way all the time, and why should we change that? We've just always done it this way. Nah, you don't have to break the mold. Break the mold.
Right.
That's kind of what I kind of ran into with my current position. The first year I'm learning to deal with veterans, learning disability claims, learning the VA process. And it's a government position, so there's certain rules and regulations you got to follow and things like that. And I'm like, okay, first year I'm learning it. Second year in, all right, I don't like how this is working. I'm going to change it. Well, oh yeah, I can change it. I'm the boss. I'm the director. So making those changes, and hey, that worked out good. But stop listening to the people that don't want to change or can't change, or they're just too set in their ways. Those are the innovation antibodies that detract from growth. They and they can cause issues within an organization too. And okay, we're changing, and you got to go. You either change and come along with us, or pretty much. And I can't recall what book it was in or what author. But that's pretty much what they said. If they are if they're going to be that negative and detract from your organization, then they got to go. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, in the military, you can't get rid of those people.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
You can't. So you work with them and learn to deal with them as best you can until they move on or you move on. And then there's somebody else's problem, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Oh man, that opens up a whole new perspective for me when it comes to the military versus the corporate world,
Right. Right.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. And then have you seen it happen where someone who was an innovation antibody was won over or became a contributor to that innovation through maybe some of the principles that you talk about in your book, where connection was used to draw that person out and help them gain a better perspective or a broader perspective?
Yes. I had a young lady who I worked with, and we were kind of rocky at first. She come from this was in the military. She come from a different unit. She was not used to the people, the culture, the difference between her unit and the one she came to. And there were people that she disrespected, and
Yeah.
got herself in trouble a couple of times.
Hmm.
But I was responsible for her, so
Hmm.
it was something that we worked through. We talked through. I mean, even
Hmm.
she and I even went at each other one day, and it was
Hmm.
one of my more embarrassing moments as a leader,
Interesting.
because I let loose and I should not have, and I said some things that were just
Huh.
they were wrong, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to eat crow, and I had to go to apologize to her later, really and truly, because that was
Hmm.
not the appropriate way to act as a leader. So we talked it out, worked through it, and came to an understanding, and it smoothed out after that, and it was
Hmm.
better.
Hmm. So that's really interesting that that says a lot about honestly your humility. It came through a mistake that you made as
Hmm.
an overreaction that ended up bringing you guys making that connection more solid, I guess, right?
It did, yes.
Wow.
It helped
Huh.
her. It helped bring her to a better understanding, because, like I said, every military unit, their culture is different. I don't know if it's a unique ability or whatever, maybe a little bit of a gift, that when I
Hmm.
go into a new place,
Hmm.
I can fit in. I
Hmm.
can, not that I change who I am or um, lose anything of myself, but I can read it. I kind of read the
Hmm.
room and read
Yeah.
the culture pretty quickly. And all right, this will work, this won't work. And then once I get established and I get to know people and develop that trust between each other and level of respect with each other, uh,
Yeah.
I can start to make changes, better
Hmm.
changes, and make, slowly make those improvements. But that's essentially what you do as a leader. You go in,
Hmm.
you I get, because I went into every situation. I didn't know everything, and I didn't know the people, and I didn't know. So I'm basically reading the room, what's going on, and then
Hmm.
as I see things that need change, I'd make the change, and it
Hmm.
was I tried to do it always for the better.
Man, that is whew, wow. That's a skill to be able to read the room
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sense what's going on and have that relational intuition, if you will. To man, that's critical to connection, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, and a lot of it is listening.
Hmm.
Be a listener, ask questions, ask good questions. Again, John Maxwell, good leaders ask great questions, or great
Yep.
leaders ask great questions. And again, just having that humility that you don't know everything.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so we like grazed the surface, honestly, of the
I
things I wanted to
know.
talk about in here, Bobby. So let me do two more questions.
Mhm.
First of all, I'm curious with the kind of the changing, digital world that we live in. How do you envision the evolution of leadership connections as we're kind of moving forward in this digital world? And what advice do you have for leaders to adapt, would you say, to these changes?
I'm still going through it. So, man, and it kind of goes back to COVID, and how and the changes that happened there, especially with people working remote, being online, not having that person to person interaction. I think
Hmm.
I think a lot of it needs to go back to that. I didn't, the nature of my job, I could not work remote.
Hmm.
I was a battalion supply sergeant, and I had to be there because not only were we preparing for deployment, I was helping pack, I was learning the people in the unit,
Hmm.
and so from then on, I just never worked strictly remote. And so when I look at it and my, oh, you can work remote. Wait, what's that? And doing,
Right.
doing these Teams meetings and things like that, which it is very helpful. It's a useful tool. Having those face-to-face conversations with people, or just sitting down and having lunch with them.
Hmm.
I love that. I think that is if you're not doing it, you need to be doing it, because there's nothing like sitting down with somebody and sharing a meal. A lot of things can
Yeah.
be discussed and come to an agreement, or, brainstorm if you're sitting there eating together. I think that's very important. Use
Yeah.
the tools, but remember, you're still people to people is so important.
Yep. Yep. Be intentional about that
Yes.
connection personally in person like that. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Just because we do have these online tools, which are great, doesn't mean that we use them at the exclusion of connecting, in person. That's great.
Well, I tell you, and the reason I even stress that is because I have a lot of Vietnam veterans that come in. They love just telling me their story. I could sit and sometimes I'll intentionally block out an hour. I know that usually with the work that I'm doing, it won't take an hour, but I'll block it an hour. And then somebody invariably will come in my office and they'll just start talking and talking and talking. The phone doesn't ring. I'm not bothered, and I know this is God because he is intentionally setting this time aside for that person to talk to me. And I don't take that lightly.
That's so good. Absolutely. Let me ask you this one last question. It's so we kind of started out broad. We kind of zoomed in a little bit. Now I'm kind of coming back out broad again. Leadership points of connection, expanding your impact through meaningful connections. What were you really hoping to accomplish? What like kind of a summary statement, or you can take a little bit longer to elaborate, but what are you really hoping that people get from this? What are you hoping to accomplish through this book?
I hope that people can, much like you said, instead of focusing so in inward or small-minded, broaden your mind, broaden your perspective. Look outside yourself. You don't have all the answers, so there's going to be somebody else that can add to your whatever it is you're doing. Add to you. Everybody has value somewhere, sometime. Even if you only meet them for 5 minutes, there could be something very valuable outside of that conversation, and that you can take and launch a podcast with it or do something with it. But it's remembering that all the connections that you have, there's something there, and to be intentional about it, be authentic, and just be humble enough to grow, humble enough to ask the questions and learn every single day.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And as Christians, we've got the Holy Spirit in us. We've got literally the presence of God residing with us. And so when you are in connection with another Christian, I mean, you're not just in connection with that person, but with God himself as he's revealing himself through that person,
Yes.
Even if they're not a Christian, they're still made in the image of God. And so they reflect who, God's character in various ways, and are worthy of dignity and honor, and absolutely have something to teach us, right?
Absolutely. Even the sandpaper people.
That's right. Even the sandpaper people. Well, Bobbi, really, really well done on the book. I love the way that you weave scripture throughout this as well. Especially like was this the last chapter, second to last chapter here, I think.
Oh, my person
peace.
Chapter. Oh, peace, yes.
Piece of connection. Yeah. I love how you brought in Matthew 5 and just unpacked so many great, I think, scriptural principles within that chapter. So anyway, my point is I love this book, and guys, listeners, if you're listening, as you are, if you're listening to me, definitely worth a book getting. And man, this will, I think, broaden your own perspective about every interaction you have. Every interaction you have is a point of connection and can be used to, as we say on this show, have a redemptive influence.
Absolutely.
Bobbi, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me, Mike. I appreciate it.
Let's get to work!